Hey folks, I'm Troy and you're watching TroyTube. In this video I want to clarify something I said in my last video about butcher paper and which butcher paper you should use for sublimation. So stay tuned, we're going to clear that up in just a minute. So yesterday I did a video on what you need to get started in sublimation. So I covered the basic essentials that you have to have. Then I threw out some recommendations of other things that you might want to consider, or maybe some things that you should have on hand to get started in sublimation and to continue your hobby. So I made a statement. I was probably talking a little fast and didn't clarify what I meant when I said it. I said to get plain uncoated butcher paper. Don't get pink or white, get plain brown butcher paper. I probably should have said I prefer the brown butcher paper. The white butcher paper, again, it does need to be uncoated and uncolored. So there's pink butcher paper, maybe others, I don't know. But white or brown should work fine. The reason I prefer the brown butcher paper is, it's pretty simple. In order to get the paper white, they treat the pulp and they bleach it. And it's all supposedly food grade paper, so it's okay to come in contact with your food. I think people use it to smoke meat and stuff in it. I don't know, that's not one of my hobbies. But the white paper has been bleached and treated in the manufacturing process to make it bright white, basically. The brown butcher paper is what I think is basically the rawest form of the paper that you can get. There are people that say that you shouldn't use brown because you risk getting, the colored brown fibers on your garment or the item that you're pressing or something like that. I've never had an issue with that. I've always used the brown paper. I think, I don't know, if it's white paper, you would still risk getting the fibers on. You probably just can't see them as well because it's white. Maybe if your design is dark, or maybe if you're using one of the printable products that can be sublimated and applied to a cotton garment or something like that that's dark, then maybe you'll see white fibers. I don't know. I've never seen it and never had a problem with it. The reason I personally prefer the brown butcher paper is because of that treatment that's in the paper. And when you heat things up, they tend to give off gases. The question is whether or not there are any VOCs or volatile organic compounds, or maybe non-organic compounds. I don't know what's used to treat that. And it probably depends a lot on where it's done and how they do it too, because there's a lot of products that come from overseas and some of these other countries where they don't have as tight regulations. There's just a question mark there. Now, I'll say Cricket butcher paper, because I was at Cricket, I know what they do. I know the amount of testing they do and everything. Their butcher paper is white. That they would have tested for off-gassing of VOCs and things of that nature. Whereas just buying a roll of butcher paper off Amazon, usually you can tell too if they're Chinese sellers. They're kind of funky names on the seller names and stuff. There's just always question marks there. I don't know. And anytime you heat something up, it has a tendency to release whatever it can as gases or fumes or whatever. So that's just the reason I personally prefer the brown butcher paper. I just feel like there's less chance of that. There could be something in the brown paper. Who knows? It could be something that is inherent in the paper process when they treat the pulp and make it that you can't avoid it. I don't know. But what I do know is that I've never had a problem with it. I've never had discoloration of my item. I've never had fibers left behind on my item. I don't think there's any texture difference between the white and the brown as far as anything that, fibers that might come off of it or something like that. I've just never had a problem with either. And there's probably just as many people that'll say I've always used the white paper and I've never had a problem with it. So use whichever one works for you. I just wanted to clarify what I said and how I said it, because I know a lot of people they'll come after you and tell you you're wrong. But I was, like I said, I was just talking too fast, going through it, and said this is what I prefer. So I put that description in the video description and added it this morning to clarify that. But I was just trying to get that video out and trying to talk and get through that as quick as I can. It ended up being like a 20-minute video, which I hate making the videos too long. It kind of lose people, but I just wanted to clear that up and make sure everybody understands. And another thing somebody pointed out that is a good thing to have on hand is one of these, a lint roller. So that I kind of assumed that people will probably keep those on hand anyway when they're doing HTV to clear off the garment and make sure there's no cat hair on it or anything like that, or dog hair if you're a dog person, lint, whatever it is. And make sure that it's clean and comes off. That way, if your butcher paper does happen to leave any fibers on it, you can run that lint roller over it, clean it off real quick. So just want to clear that up, and hope everybody's having a great weekend. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below the video.